Hello, trading has closed on April 1st, 2024. We always start with our disclaimer. We'll go over our calls. We'll make some predictions. It's my trading plan for Tuesday, which is the 2nd of April, 2024. Please trade at your own risk. My calls can be wrong. Look for the pattern today with the early high, which is this, and tomorrow should have the early low. We gave the arguments for an end of this leg at this high. We had the time elements and we had the wave count. Now, just because you have those elements, it doesn't mean it's going to work. It's worked so far. I'd like it to work, but if you don't have the elements for time and price, you probably aren't to the high. But if you do have the elements for time and price, that's not a guarantee that you are at a high, and you really need some more confirmation. So far it is working. This is what we said. These are the patterns we're seeing this week. Futures are up quite a lot overnight, but I only count what happens during regular trading hours, even though those highs will probably be, those overnight highs will probably print at some time. Well, early on, MEJT said ultimately higher prices would print. It doesn't call the next move. That leaves us an outstanding target of 52.5906. We got a sell signal. We drop, but we drop more than the minimum. Nothing requires you to stop at the minimum, and we didn't. But we did print the lower target immediately. So if that was all you had, you didn't really have a trade, even though if you were negative because of the overnight commentary, you probably did have a trade. All these Fs indicate false moves, moves that will retrace into this range, and that's already played out. Now we have targets. We have a 52, 57, 85 target. It's optional. If it prints tomorrow, fine. If not, we'll forget it. It works about 95% of the time. It's not 100, but it's not bad. We have an ultimate target, 52, 5906. I get about 150 of these a year. I get about one failure every 3 years, so that's pretty likely we'll see this ultimately. It just doesn't have to be anytime soon, although usually it is. I have some new viewers, so I think it's going to be useful to go over how my system works. The MEJT system, it generates targets, it doesn't generate entries. A buy signal means there's a target at a higher price. It doesn't say when the move there starts. It does not predict the direction of the next move necessarily, and not every target is far enough away to justify an entry. If the target's 50 cents away, it doesn't justify going long. You might hold off on going short, just as there's a higher target, and the best targets are ones which are far away, which will happen usually well after the signal's given. Now there's resistance over a higher target and support under a lower target. That doesn't have to hold, but it often will. Most systems try to generate winning trades. The system can do that, but it also can reduce the number of your losing trades. For example, if there is an unsatisfied target at a lower price, one should have some reluctance to go long. Now you're going to miss a few winners, but I'll tell you, you're going to greatly reduce the number of your losers. We made the case for this being a top, and maybe it is, but we have higher price targets here. It's at least an argument against holding short overnight. Now futures are down as I'm recording this, and maybe you'll miss a trade. That's entirely possible. But when there's a higher target, it's you need a lot of evidence if you're going to go against it. We finally broken through this trend line. It might be impressive, but it wouldn't be as impressive if I move the trend line, if I move that channel down to there. So I will. That's not really a clear enough break for me, although it might come as soon as tomorrow. We don't have it yet. We have a wave count that works. We have a price target that works. We have the time elements that work. But until we break through this, it's hard to bet too much money on it, because again, just because one system works, one price works, doesn't mean some other one won't. Now, before we go into the next chart, we had counted this as 5 waves up. You can count this as 5, wave 5, and this is a flat, expanded flat. It's a legitimate count. But I'd be a lot happier if this would have held and if you could count this as a 5-wave structure. Here's our count. And all these numbers work, but it's possible we're still in wave round 4. I mean, if this is an A of 4, and that's B, which looks like a 5, can be counted as a 3. If that's B, there's your C right at 61.8%. So it's possible this is just an ABC of some degree. And if that's the end of 4, I'd expect an impulse for 5. Doesn't look like an impulse to me. So that could just be ABC for A of 4. We could have another ABC and piddle around here a while without breaking any rules, without killing the main idea that we have a candidate for a top here. Caroline stuff works. I want to see a pretty big drop from here. We haven't seen it yet. Tuesday's pattern has a early low regardless of where we open. Typically it's a rally day with a high in the final hour, but if it's weak, more weakness should follow. 2 higher targets were generated from today's pattern. Neither has to print tomorrow, but usually you don't have to wait very long. We still have the elements for the end of the leg here, but the wave count isn't as clear as I'd like, and we still need to undercut some prior lows to have more confidence. The best technical analysis is to take a chart and just pin it up on the wall and look at things, and we just haven't broken down with conviction yet, even though I think we could. We have a Trader Vic 2B top. After today, we still have to confirm it by trading under today's close, and doing it overnight doesn't count. In any event, the new overnight highs tend to be retested at some time, which is more evidence that at some point, any drop here is going to recover. New highs are going to print. So we have the square of 9, we have the Caroline stuff, and we have a wave count, all of which can make this a possible high. But here, the last few hours didn't really accomplish anything. We have higher targets. If it is a high, there should be plenty of places to jump on the train. Right now, looking for the pattern with the early low tomorrow tends to be a rally day. If it's weak, it's usually weak early, which is entirely possible. And we have higher targets, which will very, very often print pretty soon, but don't really have to. It's a pattern with the early low, and that's today's call.